G'day folks, welcome to this playthrough of David Dockter's Triumph of Chaos, the Russian Civil War 1918 to 1921. This is a card-driven game on the Russian Civil War. It was published by Clash of Arms Games. What you see here is the War Game Room implementation. It's a software implementation of this design. It is a wonderful... I've been playing War Game Room games for 20 years. Bruce designs these Java-based implementations of games which enforce the rules, automatically deal you hand size, limit your actions to those allowed by the rules. So you can't make rules mistakes. You can certainly make tactical, strategic mistakes, but you can't make rules mistakes in his programs. If you're interested, check out wargameroom.com. Go to the website. And then click on the download section. He is really specialised in many card-driven games, mainly GMT published card-driven games, but with a couple of exceptions. And this is one exception. This is a Clash of Arms Games design. Now, you'll also notice, if you may be familiar, this is the first... He has implemented, he did many years ago, implemented the first edition of Triumph of Chaos from 2005. And so the software uses the 2005 edition map art, counters, cards. I'm not sure about the rules, but I think the rules to an extent. Something you should know about Triumph of Chaos is the rules have changed a lot over the years. They have a living rules. The most recent living rules, which you can see here, are from May 2020. May 2020. And this is for the version 2 of the rules, but I think they're still suitable, and I believe it may be, because I know that the software has been updated, it may be relevant for this implementation. Okay, so it's a War Game Room implementation of the first edition of the game. I'm not sure what version of the rules, and I'm not sure how I'd find that out, but there's a lot going on with this program. Yeah, I don't think it's going to tell me what version of the rules are being used, but we might find that out as we go along. So first edition, keep that in mind. The second edition, let me, which I do have above me on the shelves within arm's reach, it looks like this, and I think the map art is much improved. There we go. It looks like that. So quite different to what you see on, the map. I think the map's vastly improved. It's a lot clearer. The counter art is quite different in this deluxe version here. But anyway, so I've downloaded the PDF version of the rules and the supplement and the play aids. And I will also, perhaps most importantly, when you're using War Game Room software, is I have a digital card manifest which looks like this. One of the biggest weaknesses in these implementations is you get this list of cards you've got. So this is the red player's hand. This is what they've got, but you don't know the details on these cards. And you can click on information, text of cards in hand, blustering in the Baltics, and down here it will tell you the text on that card. But if you're trying to read through these in a hurry or make a decision, sorry, the text is down here. You can see bottom left corner. It's quite off-putting to have to keep constantly referring to that. Whereas the card manifest is produced by Jason Johns, and it's on Board Game Geek. So I'm just kind of running you through some caveats to explain that this is digital implementation, War Game Room, limited interface. Okay, so you can't quite look at the cards. Even the politics phase is quite abstracted, which I'll show you in just a moment. Now, what am I doing here? Okay, at the start of the game, we start with the politics phase. And in this phase, in effect, it's a two-player game. You've got the Reds, who have this sort of central sort of Russian. Let me show you the map. Let me move the. I'll hide this for the moment, but I'll bring it back. Okay, so this is all these are all the red forces. Okay, centered around Moscow. There are several, really, at this stage in the game, three main fronts. The southern Don Kuban front. This is where a lot of fighting happens throughout the war. Then you've got this eastern front, central eastern front. Okay, this is pretty quiet down here. Central eastern front with the Czech Legion and lots of other stuff going on here. The Gold Train, which is this counter here. And then you've got the, what do we call it, the northeastern front, the Urals front up here. Okay, centered, well based around Ekaterinburg, and you can hide all markers, hide all pieces. Perm, there we go. Kazan's here, Samara, okay. And then new fronts will open. One of the distinguishing features of this game is there are a lot of other powers, I don't know what they're called technically, but other powers in the game, political powers who are influenced to join or affect the war in favour of one side or the other. So Belarus, for example, here, whilst currently occupied by the Germans, keeping in mind this is 1918. We're looking at the political phase. Summer 1918. Germany, the Central Powers, will eventually leave the war. Their troops will vacate these areas, and these areas may sway towards the Reds. They may sway towards the Rights. So the Whites. So if we look at Belarus, it currently has Red influence. Transcaucasia, down in the south here, currently has Red influence. Now. I don't think we can view the full political board in the game, but it's worth pointing out that these independent, separate nations are not free to join one side or the other. So, for example, if I can bring up this faction control table. Here we go. This is from Consim World. I think this is a faction control table. You'll see various prerequisites on, for example, if Latvia wants to go over to red control, you must play a certain card. Where are they? Here, the USA. I don't think it's ever allowed to go over to red control. I think the best you can do here is, I think, red influence. There are many restrictions on where nations can go. So that's the rule book. Sorry, I'm trying to find this is a supplement. Here we go. So this details all the sort of politics associated with the game. Political box resolution. I'm sure there are, eventually you'll go through the factions overview, and there are, look, this is a heavy game. There are a lot of rules guiding all these things. Red may not use the forces of any controlled major power faction or Poland. Okay, so that's a key restriction there. So even if they gain control, they can't use those forces. Okay, so control basically reflects, that didn't pass the Google test, we had some wild play. Yeah, it basically reflects, Britain, France, USA being as friendly as was historically feasible towards the Reds. The Reds are not going to gain control of the British armies and fight against the Whites. Basically what this represents, if Red gains control of Britain, it represents Britain being as friendly as they are inclined to be in 1918, 1919, etc. Okay, so yeah, it's interesting how it deals with that. It is a game that really strives for historical viability. Again, as soon as you're making moves, it's certainly an accurate historical setting, but it's a war game, and you're making changes. And as soon as you're doing that, you're changing the history. But it strives for that, historical legitimacy, I suppose. Believability is, believable that the turn of events that you develop are plausible. Okay, so this phase, the first phase, is basically about influencing those nations. We've been dealt our hand of 7 starting cards. We have a bluff card and an influence card. All right, so we use these during the politics phase for reasons I'll explain in a moment. We have 3 boxes: a red box, a white box, and a neutral box. You can see down here: red box, white box, other, neutral box. Both the red player and the white player, and this is the red player and this is the white player, they will each be placing a card in the red box, a card in the white box, and a card in the other box. Now, if you're wondering how I'm playing this as the red player and the white player, okay, red, white, basically I load up 2 versions of the Wargame Room program and use one as the server, one as the client. So I basically join myself. I'll also point out that Java is quite an outdated piece of software as a basis for these games, but again, Bruce has been developing these for decades. It is temperamental on newer computers. Used to work fine back in the day, but now with newer computers that don't like Java, Java tends to crash. I've mentioned that in a couple of other videos where I've used Wargame Room software, so just be aware of that as well. Okay, so I am choosing, we go red first, and I'm choosing 3 of the cards in my hand. Now, to do that, I kind of need to know, well, it'd be good to know what these cards are. And this is where the card manifest comes in. The card manifest, this Excel spreadsheet you can see, it effectively summarizes the different cards. So we've got white action cards, red action cards, political cards, leader cards, etc. Okay, so the reds, the red player, they have card number 10. We can scroll down to card number 10, and it tells us what blustering in the Baltics does. It's worth reading. Okay, yeah, it's worth reading these. It's worth taking your time to understand the cards in your hand. There's a lot of interrelationship between the event cards in Triumph of Chaos. A lot of cards are prerequisites to playing other cards, or to particular events, or to having political sway over certain nations. Yeah. This spreadsheet summarizes it pretty well. Certainly it says the card number, the year that comes in, the card number, the ops you get. So we know that card number 10 is a 4 ops card. It has an asterisk next to it, which means it's removed if played as an event. And then these columns are cards that it enables, or things it enables. So this card here, card number 11, which I do have, Red Army Reorganizers, will enable cards number 16 and 17. So I can go to 16 and 17 and say, okay, what are these cards? They are large armies. Bujeni, First Army and Second Army, or Konamiya 3A, various forces, a mechanized unit, an air unit. Okay, so by playing card number 11, I am reorganizing my army. It's saying I can't take replacements this turn. I can only play 1 reinforcement card this turn, but it paves the way for these larger armies to come in to the game later on. And there's a reminder there of what the prerequisites are. Okay, so this is a great spreadsheet. Play of card 21, which I don't have, enables play of card 18. So a change in doctrine. Cavalry. I would have had 2. This enables me to place cavalry units. It requires me to play card 19 for the A option. So, a lot of cards actually give you these type of options. Do you want to do this, or do you want to do that? So this is basically saying a change in doctrine. Do you want to focus on cavalry, or a change in doctrine? Do you want to focus on Finnish cooperation? and you get to choose there. But whatever you choose, you're locked into that path. If you choose Finland, you do that, and yeah, you're locked out of the cavalry then, I believe. Yeah. Okay, so you've got the enables initiative card. I'm not sure. Maybe play this event on turn 1. This is card number 8, which I don't have anyway. Okay. Initiative card, select one off. Yep, and then the options. Okay, so look, a lot of detail. I'm going to try and basically fly through as smoothly as possible, and just kind of demonstrate how kind of these Wargame Room software enable you to play the game, play these games, without knowing or needing to remember too much of the rules. So it's been a long time since I've read the Triumph of Chaos rulebook. Yes, I do have it available digitally if I need to check anything. But for the most part, I'm going to try and sort of bumble my way through and see what happens. Okay, so let's look at my cards. Let's start to make some decisions. Red box, white box, other box. First, what do I want to play in the red? And I will point out, okay, one more thing to point out. Cards in the red box tend to help the red player. Cards in the white box tend to help the white player. Cards in the other box tend to swing both ways. Okay, so if I really want to gain an advantage as a red player, I want to play a strong card here. If I really want to stop the white player gaining an advantage, I want to play a strong card here. The other box is more variable. Do I want to try and gain an advantage? Do I want to stop the white player getting an advantage? Or, yeah, anything in between. I can choose. I also have bluff and influence card. The bluff card is, I believe, let me double check. The bluff card have CV values of 1. So bluff is only a 1. Your opponent won't know what you're placing there. And the influence card is a variable number. I think it's from 1 to 3, but I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember what the influence card is worth. It's worth from 1 to 3, but how many, I can't recall. I'm trying to find it very quickly in the rulebook. Might be in this supplement. Oh, I can actually read. Let's read the text. Information, text of card in hand. Can I read the influence card? Yep, it'll tell me. All right, the influence card. When revealed, roll the die. There we go. To determine the card value. It's either 1, a 2, or a 6. Dice for a modifier if it's 1918, if you're ahead in VCs, if the Tsar is dead, if you control the gold train, if there's infighting, or if you're behind. So various modifiers for that. It's worth noting who is ahead. VPs are currently on 0, so nobody's currently ahead. Yep. Oh, wait. VCs. Victory cities. So there's VPs, which are based on the differential between the victory cities, and red is currently ahead. So red will get a +1 modifier for that, at least. And that's all. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I certainly want to gain a red advantage. So what's going to happen here is we'll compare cards, and you can see the summary down here. You add the total of the red card and the white card per box. So let's say we resolve the red card, and they both play a 5. In that case, the difference is 0. The total value is 10. It's very hard to see, especially with that thing in the way. I might get rid of that just for the moment, bring it back later. So if the difference is 0, but total value of 10, we draw 3. Is it the red player draws 3? No, 3 random cards. Random political cards from the red deck. If, for example, red were to play a 5 and white were to play a 1, the difference would be 3 or greater. The total there would be 6. So we look on the 6th row, and it says 2H, which means the highest player, red, selects 2 cards from that deck. And selecting the card is much better than drawing a random because, well, for reasons I'll show you in a moment. And then you repeat that for the white box and the other box. Okay, so I keep saying I'll get to it. Let's get to it. Let's bring up the card manifest again. Let's look at what I've got. I have Blustering the Baltics. What does this do? I can declare war on Estonia, Latvia, or Lithuania. And there's, again, a couple of errata. Red may choose to play this card. So this is not really a card that I want to play. I can try to influence these states. They are currently neutral, right? So I'm going to try, maybe best to try to influence these states. Red is not, just to get a sense of the strategic situation, red is not in a position of strength early in the game. They're actually, quite vulnerable in the south. There's a lot of randomness that will happen, but they're not particularly strong. And you would probably expect white to really go on an offensive in the south early on. So it might be opportune for me to play Blustering the Baltics for one of my cards. What about 13, Fear of Teutonic Expansion? What does this do? Place a red IP on Britain, Estonia, Finland. So this will all swing these countries towards me. Move Ukraine one box towards red control if Germany has not withdrawn. Place Brusilov in any VC in Central, and then take 3 activations. So it's a very powerful card to play for the event. It might be a good card to play for the event. And again, if I'm playing this card for the ops, I'm only looking at this political phase. I'm only looking at the ops value of these cards. So this is an event that I kind of want to happen. I don't want to play it down in the political phase. Green Uprising is basically fairly straightforward. You place Green Uprising, card number 6. You'll place, select a home region, roll a dice, and place that many green. These basically, green forces refer to the sort of independent, community or regionally independent and relatively autonomous forces that often rose up behind the lines during the Russian Civil War. So you'll place these markers, and if it's a red player playing this, they might place it, for example, down here, and that would, it's just a thorn in the backside of the white powers. The white player, they would need to deal with these. They're usually very weak armies, but it's something they have to deal with. It's a low op card. It keeps coming back into your hand. Okay, so it's low ops, not a lot of political strength, probably not worth playing in this phase. All right, so I'm not going to worry about that. White's One Russia policy. Let's look at this card 15. If plays an event prior to this, roll a dice. So white action card 15 may not be played, so it cancels the availability of action card 15, which opens up white control of Belarus, Ukraine, and Western Ukraine. So Western Ukraine is down in the southwest corner here, a separate power to Ukraine. A lot of history behind that, which I won't go into. So it cancels play of that, which means that I believe if I can play that event, white will never be able to get control of Ukraine, Western Ukraine, Belarus, which is fantastic for me. So that's another event that I would love to play early. Faction Passivity, card number 9. No faction control marker may move to control for either side from next action phase and next political phase. I can't recall if it's a good card to play or a bad one, but it's 5 ops, and given I don't know, that might be a good card to play. Red Army Organizers, I've already talked about this, is a good prerequisite to bringing some large armies. And White Infighting is another good card to play. Basically, there's rules for infighting, which makes it more expensive. It's a whole rules. It's just saying see rule 16.5, because 16.5 has all these rules on the penalties when infighting occurs. There's both red infighting and white infighting. It means that, hold on, 16.5. It's in the rulebook. Or is it in the supplement? 16. Yep, okay. So White infighting. Yeah, so the infighting counters are then drawn. Play of certain cards will add more counters to the pool. The counters impact your side by placing certain restrictions or requirements on that side. At the end of the action phase, the side reveals. So there's a secret. You'll know what they are, but you won't know exactly. Your opponent won't know what they do. Now, there are various camps. This is one of the, I think infighting is one of the most confusing parts of the game. There are these various camps: Siberian Army, Don Cossacks, Siberian Cossacks, Baltic, Intrinsic, and the counters. It might say, for example, Siberian units cannot attack this turn, and leaders can't use their capabilities. Or it might be like corruption. You lose RSs. I can't remember what RSs are. Various things like that. So it's a good card to play for the event as well. On top of all these wonderful events I've got, I mean, you also want to, you're trying to fight a war. So you'll be using these cards for ops as well. What am I going to do? I don't think I really need faction passivity. No faction control. It just seems a bit meh. So I'm going to play that for the ops. Now for the white box. That's a big, strong start for red. I'm saying red box, I want to put a lot of effort in. For the white box, I don't want white to get a good start. But what do I want to invest? I think I'm going to declare, play this card. It's a 4-op card, so we ignore the event. We're just looking at the ops here. 4. And then for the other box, I'm going to use either bluff or influence. I'll use influence and see what I roll. So I'm ignoring the bluff card. All right, so I've placed my 3 cards. Now it's white's choice, and here's their hand. And so we can look at the white action card spreadsheet. They've got card number 15, the Russian Political Council, FC. So they can now move. This is a card that the Reds were trying to prevent, to white control for that. So they want that to happen. Faction replacements, a low card. Red infighting, we want that event to happen. We want to start some red infighting. Card number 2 is Poles. This is a choice here. Polish influence, white Finnish influence. Basically a free movement of these boxes, or enables you to move Poland. This would be a good one for Polish influence. Poland at the moment, again, keep in mind it's occupied by Central Powers, but Poland is neutral. Support for Udnik is card number 11. Place a white IP. Move Estonia towards white control. Take 2 activations. If Finland is neutral, Finland is currently neutral, so that'd be a good card to play as well. Check Legion commits, card number 9. So move the faction to white, so they instantly gain that. It's a great card to play. Green Uprising and the bluff. So the whites, this is in the red area. We don't want the Reds to get too good a start. Russian Political Council. I want that. I definitely don't want to play that card. Faction replacement. I've got a bad starting hand. It's either... Look, maybe... I feel like I really have to invest early, but I've got some good cards here that I actually want to play. So it's really a toss-up between 9 and 11. Which is check Legion commits or support for Udnik. I might play... It's a wonderful card, but I might play support for Udnik just to stop. It hurts, but yeah. Then for the white box, I'm going to... I'm gonna play... I don't want to get a bad start early on, but I don't have a lot of good cards. Look, I'm going to play... I want to keep that. I want to keep all these cards. I'm going to play Influence and then Bluff. So yes, the whites, I acknowledge, the whites aren't getting a good political start because they want to keep these good events and get a good event start. Okay, so the cards are being resolved. Once both players have placed 2 cards in each box, we figure out what they are. They're revealed. The whites played a 5, the reds played a 5. As a result, we get 3 random selections. So total value is 10. Difference is 0. 3 random. Very hard to see that. Again, especially if I block that box. In the white box, whites played influence. They rolled a 5, which means that they get a +1 because it's 1918, -1 because Denikin is on the map. I didn't know that. It's a special rule. But again, this is where the game reminds you of these rules. For a result of 5, so it's worth 2 points. Red played a 4, so the total there is 6. Difference of 2. The highest player, the red, selects 2 cards. So red is picking 2 cards from the white influence box. And then there's a neutral box, which hasn't been revealed yet. Okay, so what are we doing here? So 3 random, 2 red choices. That's white, that's red. Okay, so this is where we have the political. This is a summary. This is just showing the deck of white political cards. Now, normally, I will show you what these normally look like. Normally, they will look... Let me try and find an image of what they normally look like. They're playing cards with a summary of political movements. I'm trying to find one, and I don't think I can see a good image that captures... here we go. It's not the best image. It's kind of... It's not the best image, but it looks like this. Okay, so it's been rotated awkwardly. This is the back of the card. This is the front of the card. So you can see it says USA 1 to the right. Transcaucasus 1 to the white. Kiva 1 whites. Astrakhan 1 to the reds. Sorry, not right, reds. Turkestan 1 to the reds. Now all the cards, all these details on this card are summarized here. So this shows the various cards, the various card names, and whether they move towards the red or the whites for all the different neutral nations. Astrakhan, Belarus, Britain, Central Powers, Czech Legion, Estonia, Finland, etc., etc. Plus, sometimes selecting these cards will give you special bonuses. Now, bear in mind, this is the white deck, okay? The image I just showed you was a card from the neutral deck, the other deck you can see on the right there. That's what the back of the card looks like. This is the white deck, so the cards here will generally favor white. But it's red getting to choose here because white sort of sacrificed one of the low cards here. So red gets to choose 2 of the political cards from the white deck. They are hoping to get, or they're wanting to pick cards that move things as much as possible towards red. What are their objectives here? Look, I think early on they want to keep the major powers, Britain, France, the USA, and the Central Powers, which is hard, away from the white powers, the white forces. How do they do that? It's also challenging because typically things that tend to move the Central Powers up or towards red move the Allied forces, Britain, France, and the USA, towards the whites. So it's a juggling act. You move Central Powers towards you, the Allied powers will move towards your opponent, things like that. So that's what I'd like to do. As a red player, I want to keep those major powers out of the hands. So you can see here, USA already has white influence. Britain has white influence. I'd like to get them, keep them white, delay their entry as long as possible. So let's look at Britain here. White, white, white. This one here, what's it going to move? It's going to move Britain, France, and the no, that's the UK. Who's BR? No, that must be Ukraine. Okay, Britain, Ukraine. Where was it? 1, 2 red, 2 red. It's going to move Western Ukraine towards white. It's going to move Lithuania towards white, and it's going to move the Central Powers towards white. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. Is there anything better? How about this one? This moves the central powers strongly towards white, but I'll get a lot of red influence in lots of other things. This basically represents the whites requesting German assistance. And it certainly helps the central powers align with the whites, but it turns everyone else. Belarus 2 towards red. Yeah. What's this one do? Poland towards white, Western Ukraine towards white. I think I like this one, just because it moves all those other major nations. I'm going to click German assistance. And again, the bonuses here. So if I pick this, I get 1 red replacement per Russian Republic, which is none. What else? Something that's not going to do too much damage to me. Maybe something that moves. So central power is just a bit backwards. So this one, it'll move Estonia, Kiva, Latvia. It'll move Western Ukraine 2 to the white. Western Ukraine's neutral. I think I kind of... Yeah, I'm a bit worried about central powers moving too much towards too white. And then I'll balance it out a bit more with this card. Okay, so now it's picked those 2 cards, and it then moves us to the other box. So here we go. White played the bluff card, which is worth 1. Red played the influence card, which is variable. They rolled 5. It's worth 2. Total was 3. A difference of 1. So we get 1 red choice in the other box. And the other box is a bit more balanced. 2 free red replacements. Do I have any? I'm just going to look at the map. Are there any reduced red forces at the start? I'm not sure. These are their small core. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if I need replacements right now. Where are we looking? Okay. 1 red choice. Okay. This one. Lovely. Easy. Allies have second thoughts. It just moves them very heavily towards red. It's pretty straightforward. Just moving Britain, France, and the USA away from white influence, kicking them out of the war even longer. So let's see what's happened. Okay. Keep in mind there were also 3 random cards. So the red random cards were these 3. Read that, and I think this one. Yep, so these were random. And basically the game, if you're playing this in person, you would have to go, okay, move Britain 1 to the red. And you would grab that, the chart I showed earlier, the faction control chart. Going to bring it up again. Faction control table. Okay, so you'd look at this table, and there's little counters on it, and you'd move them 1 to the left, 1 back to the right for every card. Quite a long process. Every single card you've got to read. Start here and go Britain 1 red, check 2 white, France 1 red, and you do that for all these cards. The game does it all for you and tells you the result. It tells us, and I'll scroll down the bottom here so you can actually see. It tells us that Astrakhan, through all these random events. In fact, I don't remember focusing on Astrakhan, so it may have been Astrakhan. Where was it? 2 Astrakhan. Astrakhan 2 to the red. And it just happened to happen. So I got lucky there. Belarus moves to red faction control as well. I don't remember focusing on Belarus. Britain moves 4 to the red. So red had a great first political phase. Britain is now in red influence, gone from white influence to red influence. Each of these boxes has a variable cost to move. So again, if I bring up this chart and I try and zoom in, you can see below, like where it says white influence. So it's very hard to see. But there's a cost: 2 in, 2 to move in, 2 to move out, for example. So variable costs, which represent sort of, in some way, once a nation is swayed, it's difficult then for them to be unswayed of their loyalty, if that makes sense. So once a faction is controlled, it's more expensive to lose control. Okay, so good that red now has got 2 control, plus a red influence. Central Powers actually moves 1 towards red, Now, in that case, I think we just leave an IP on there. I'm not sure. France is now under red influence. Latvia. Okay, so Latvia moves to white. Macno. So Macno is this little anarchist area down here. It's now under white influence, but I don't think whites can gain control of Macno forces. There aren't many of them anywhere. Anyway, slight shift towards red. Ukraine moves 3 towards white and is now under white influence. USA moves 3 red. It's now neutral, and West Ukraine is under white influence. So Belarus is activated on the red side. I can now set up forces. I may not set up forces until the Central Powers withdraw. So I've technically got control of the political forces in Ukraine, but in 1918, German forces were still occupying that area. Astrakhan, which is down here in the right, I have 2 units available. I have an army and a corps. Okay, so this is, keep in mind, a red force. So what do I want to do with these? The importance of Astrakhan is it also opens a supply chain through this area here. So if these guys get cut off by the whites attacking here, it's the threat is alleviated. So I'm going to place the Astrakhan army in Astrakhan. I'm going to place the first corps out here in case Turkestan or Khiva move towards right, which I think they have a tendency to do. Okay, I think this tends to go red. This tends to go white from memory. All right, now that's the political phase over. Okay, so it's wonderful how the game just automates all that process for us, and we then go from the political phase into the action phase. It is white action round 1. So the whites go first, and look, they want to make sure they can. Let me bring up the card manifest again. I've got to keep resizing this window. All right, let's look at the manifest. Okay, white. They have card 15, Russian Political Council, Belarus, Ukraine, and Western Ukraine. Okay, they need this, I believe. Yeah. Yep, they need this to... Well, they've lost Belarus. They can regain it, but it'll be a lot of work. But Ukraine and Western Ukraine is still viable and very important. Ukraine in particular has a huge military force. So they want to play Russian political control as an event just to open that pathway. Okay. Now, it's hard to play this solo because I know that the Reds have got the corresponding cancellation card. But even so, this is a card that can be cancelled. It should be an early priority for the whites. So I'm going to play that for the event. Okay. It had other benefits as well. So place 2 white IP on Belarus. Now, IP, it should be summarized here. Yeah. Okay. So this is just throughout the course of the action round, IPs, influence points, will be placed on these nations. They can come and go. But for the most part, the loyalty of these nations are resolved at the end of that political phase. So you'll place these IPs throughout the course of the action phase, and the next political phase you go through the political box again and resolve the loyalty of these nations. So this is what happened. Belarus is now IP, 2 IPs on Britain, 2 on the Central Powers. Denikin is eliminated. Infighting had not been triggered yet, so it's good to play that now. And if card is played prior to red AC 15, a favourable dice roll modifier is generated to prevent cancellation of this card. Okay. And then we end the action round. All right, the Reds. Here's what they've got. They've got a much better hand. And they are not as much of in a rush anymore. They would have loved to play white's 1 Russia policy. We could play green uprising, but to be frank, I think I just want to play some ops. I'm going to play 2 operations. I'm going to activate this space for movement. I'm going to pull back. Okay, so you can see this threat. This is one immediate threat for the Reds up in the far northeast sea rails. They risk being cut off. The other threat is down here, and I'm going to move. I can either advance into the core or pull the core away. And I think I'm going to pull the core. No, I don't want to pull the core away yet. I'll move them in. So I'm going to move from there to there. You can see it's just point and click, click, click. And then we'll end our move there. And then we got the top here. What's the next space I want to move from? I want to move from here with everyone. And I just want to move into here so that they can't be cut off, and end my move there. And that's it. So see, it's a lot of point and click. It won't let you move illegally. So if I tried to click here, it would not let me. End the action round, and that's it. We're into action round 2. White action card. With this software, you'll know if it's not your turn because there's no prompt box. So the game will always prompt you on what you can do. At the moment, this is a red box. This is a red software box. I can't do anything, so there's nothing available. This is the white box. It's their turn, so they have the prompt. White player, what do you want to do? And what do they want to do? Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I had the card manifest up. Got to make sure I get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to hide that before I forget. Sorry. So what happened was I moved this army from Sarezin down to here, and I moved this army from Perm just back one space. So that was all covered up by that spreadsheet. Okay, so replacements. I don't feel I need them right now. Red infighting would be wonderful to start, and I get to take one action. Poles, Finns, or Cossacks. Now this gives me a couple of choices. This is card number 2. It does open up. It's a prerequisite for another card, but I have to choose between influencing Poland and gaining control of Poland, influencing Finland, or influencing the Cossacks. And if I influence the Cossacks, I place a Cossack cavalry army. Ooh, that's nice. But there is a first round restriction. 8.142 still applies. Rule 8.142. What is Rule 8.142? I don't know. 8.142 is first round restrictions. A side may not activate any space containing a newly controlled faction during the first round, directly after the political phase or in the action round, unless control is achieved by becoming a protector. Blah blah blah. Okay, so it's just a reminder that you can't, and it won't let you. The game won't let you activate those forces if you try to do so. So I could play that. It lets me move Poland. Where are these forces sitting? So Poland is neutral, Finland is neutral. So neither of those are really it basically moves a whole box. All right, so it's not 2 influence or 1 influence. It's actually move a whole box instantly. Czech Legion commits. I think that would be good because the Czech Legion is up here guarding the gold train, leaning towards white influence. And if I can get them to commit, I move their control marker to white control, place a Czech leader, can't activate them for the rest of the turn, but that happens. Unfortunately, it'll mean that Magno moves a box towards red control, but unlikely to move all the way. So I might play that. I'm going to play Czech Legion commits for the event. All right. The Czech Legion is now activated. So this is the Czech Legion up here. I get to place a leader. That looks like it's already got a leader. So I'm going to place their other leader here. Oh, no, can't. Why not? Probably because there's a special rule about it. Do I place them in... Oh, let's display hide all pieces. So notice that the spaces are both numbered and named. So 507. So you can generally find 507. Should be over on the right. Orenburg here. Okay, so if I show all pieces, why is it there? Okay. Gajda here. 520. That's 507. Moving up, 520 should be up here. I'm guessing this is it here. Konga, yep. Or 525, which I'm guessing is his place here. I might place him with the army. Yep. Where do I place the 3rd Legion army? 630. So down here. Sorry, so here's 633. Hard to read these because it's so small. But what space is this? This is 630. Where the gold train is, that's where the army's going. All right, so now I've got an army protecting the gold train. Czech Legion are activated. They're on the white side. If I scroll down, you'll see, I've moved the map around a bit, but Czech Legion is now under white control. So there are these events which do shift control and boxes, but I believe 8.142, well, they can't be activated. The card actually says specifically Czech Legion units may not be activated for combat for the rest of the turn. All right, so we're done. All right, so the Reds now have the Czech Legion to contend with up here. All right. Second action round for the Reds. What do they want to do now? Fear of Teutonic Expansion, card number 13. This will further influence. Okay, so it says place red IPs on Britain, France, etc. So to cancel out some of these, gee, Britain will move towards red control. I don't know if they're allowed to have red control, are they? Again, red won't control British forces, but it's going to be a heck of a struggle for the whites to gain their influence back over to the white side. So fear of Teutonic expansion. Yeah, it's basically the Reds promoting this fear of the power, the Central Powers, and a lot of forces move. Even Ukraine moves a box towards red control. And I get to take 3 activations, so I'm going to play that. That's a great card. Fear of Teutonic expansion. Hold on a sec. Let's review. Now, this is the one that would have cancelled. If played after, it can still cancel the effect of that card. But with it's a -1 dice. So I need a 1 to 2 to cancel the effect of the card. Otherwise, it has no effect. So not urgent right now. Definitely want to play that. Definitely want to play that. So, but one thing at a time. I think I'm going to play this. Fear of Teutonic expansion. Oh, why can't I play it? Fear of Teutonic expansion. There's no prerequisites. Okay, it took me a while. My manifest is different. So I finally got the card information up, and it says a prerequisite, white has played card 13, support for von der Goltz. So I can't play Fear of Teutonic expansion for the event. So that cancels that idea. Maybe because I'm not under immediate pressure right now. I mean, if the whites attack here, I'll probably lose this cause, and then I'll be under pressure. But right now, I think I can play Red Army Reorganizers. It means I can't take replacements this turn. So it's a bit of a gamble. I'm not sure if I want to risk White's 1 Russia policy. So basically this is the counter to that card 15 that the Whites played. I'd need to roll. I'd still get 3 activations, but it might be worth just keeping this card rather than risking a 1 in 3 chance of cancelling it. Or the other thing is I can play White Infighting. So card 12, I'd get 1 activation. That might be good actually. Let's do this. Let's trigger White Infighting. Done. And I get to activate 1 space. And I'm going to bring this formation down. So select a space. I can either click the box. This gives me the options. When you've got, a 5-up card, you'll have 5 boxes here often. I can just click on the space, select all the units to activate. Yep. And then I'm going to go down and down. And my move there. Now, I'm skipping over a lot of details, like what the information is on these counters, leadership abilities. I'm kind of assuming that if you're watching, you've played some card-driven games. This is not the card-driven game to start with. This is, I think, the most complex card-driven game out of the many that I've played in the action round. So not the one that you want to start with. This is certainly one for more experienced card-driven game players. All right, back to the whites. White action round 3 of 6, I think. And they've got 4 cards left. Should they return the favour with some red infighting? They've got they've got an army here that is now, under threat. Yes, let's address that. So I'm going to move this stack, and I'm going to move this stack. So you can see here 2 options here because I clicked on 2 stacks to move. They're going to move just north a little bit, and then move there. And then I'm going to take Krasnov and the cavalry army, push them north, and then bring end my move there, and then bring the little core here and move them to stack up here, and end their move there. I think I'm happy with that. All right, and then we'll end the action round. So I'm just like, the whites could be on the offensive here. They've been a bit passive getting these events out. Yeah, strategic choices. Both sides are being quite combat passive, I guess. All right, what do the reds want to do? I think, well, now's the opportunity to go on the offensive. What have I got here? I've got an army of 3 plus 1 plus my leader against 3. Not great. Got Stalin up here. He can move around if he needs to. 6. I've got a good defensive position here. That's the thing. What have we got here? We've got a 3 plus a 1. No. I think it's a 3 plus a 1. I don't really need replacements. I might play Red Army. I don't want to play it just yet. I'd like to play this as my last card. 5 ops. I could do a couple of... Look, I could go on the attack in a couple of places. I might try that. But I don't want to. I don't really want to, because I would love to play Red Army Reorganizers and not have to play... It won't let me play replacements, and I'd like to get away with not playing replacements. So what I might do is instead... Operations. And I might just move some of my core around to put myself in a better position. So I've got, for example, this core here. I've got Stalin over here with an army. I've got this core here. I don't like these guys. Oh, here we go. I've got an army here, which could move. And I've got an army here, which could move. All right, so you can see I've got 5 boxes here. So this is just a move into here. And then stop there. And next space. So they use what do they call it? A secondary road. All right, so they're going to move 1 space. That's why they stop there. This army will just move down to here and then up here, and then I'll move and then move there. I'm going to move old Stalin here. Follow the rail to Tsaritsyn. Hold on. We'll keep them together. Hold on. I'll get the core out of the way first. They'll move... what they're doing here is they're just blocking in case this unit has to retreat. Yep. and then move there, and then we'll get Stalin's forced move to there. And then I've got this core here, and they'll move into there. So what I'm doing here is just covering my... There are a lot of opportunities for like breakthroughs and green forces. So I'm just kind of putting some core behind my lines to cover my, so make sure I don't get out of supply. Happy with that. Just sort of, it was an expensive card, a lot of little operations, but yeah, just covering my backside pretty much. Now, how are the white forces going to respond? They are going to play red in fighting, and they still get 1 op as a result. We'll get these guys to start moving slowly, and then move in perm. All right, so we're going to try and push the reds back along this northern railroad, and then action round 4. All right, look, I don't have much else to do, so I might play this. Let's see if I can roll a 1 or a 2. I don't know what happened. Okay, and this is what happens when Java doesn't like it. So just something happens and it just doesn't show you the results anymore. You can save it and reload it, and sometimes it'll work, but this is the barrier you run into. So I'll wrap it up here, and I'll try and save and rescue the game. But it is the problem with Java on modern computers. If I were to play this on my old laptop, which I can do, it runs exactly the same, but it doesn't have this Java issue that I've encountered here. Look, this is... I'm what, 4 actions through the first turn. It's a big game. It's a long game. If you're playing this face-to-face, it runs for about 2 days. So looking at about 16 hours of gameplay. But the Wargame Room software facilitates rules-accurate gameplay. And it's really good for learning the game. I've run into a few things here, like why couldn't I play Fear of Teutonic Expansion, and then I found the rule that explained it. I found out 8.142 that you can't activate nations, blah, blah, blah. So, the game stops you doing things, and then it's up to you to figure out why. Yeah. All right, folks, look, thanks for watching. This is... I haven't really dove too deeply into it, but it's a very complex game. But it's a fascinating game, and I love playing this. It's been a while. I do have some other videos on the channel. There's some playthroughs of when I actually set this up and played through it. My second edition copy, so it will look different, but much the same type of gameplay, just some very slight change, and quite a lot of slight changes throughout the rule books and cards and so forth. So look, check it out. Triumph of Chaos by Clash of Arms Games. I was on the Clash of Arms Games website earlier, and it was there. So yeah, check it out if it's of interest. And thanks for watching, folks. Take care.